All right, welcome in. It's a brand new episode of the RSL Show here on the KSL Sports Network. Alex Napoles, Josh Clark. Josh, how you doing, man?
You know, I'm surviving. How are you, Alex?
Doing pretty good. It's been a busy week, but I'm also surviving and making the most of it, man.
No, it's been a very busy week, but plenty of good things to look forward to, right? I subscribe to my SEG Plus, so I got to watch some hockey now.
There you go. There you
go. I'm far too excited for this hockey team. I'm loving it. Honestly, it's so cool to have another team to root for. RSL season's almost over, which is a blessing and a curse, right? It'll be nice to have some free time back. Just kidding. That's a lie. I want the season to go on forever, but the health of my heart does not need that. Some exciting stuff with Saltaire. We're branching into hockey. There's a sick New Jersey coming out, so I can't wait to release that. But yeah, that's my week. What's up with you?
Good things on the horizon, man. And look, I'm excited for hockey too. I was looking forward to it, and then KSL and the KSL Sports Zone will be working very closely with hockey, being the radio station that's going to carry all the games. So now I'm thrilled. Now I'm excited for it, and I got to do my first hockey broadcast the other day. Got to produce that. So really looking forward to hockey. I was looking forward to it, but now I'm like super excited. Those fights, man.
That's part of hockey, bro.
Seeing just that happen. I have, obviously not really that into hockey, but just kind of seeing that happen, it was pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we've talked about it before, but hockey was my first love. And then not being able to play as a kid, and then, games being harder to watch here in Utah, it kind of fell off for soccer. Obviously, soccer has replaced that, but hockey is right behind it. So having my two favorites here is just a dream come true. And yes, fights are incredible. I wish they could fight in every sport.
One of these days, soccer will do it.
Doubt it.
Let's jump into it. We got a lot to cover today. Obviously, we have to talk about the Portland match that happened last week. We have to look forward to Austin this weekend for Real Salt Lake. But I want to start just talking about what's going on around the league, because yesterday there was three big games for Major League Soccer going on. I want to start with the Campeones Cup. America taking on Columbus Crew. Now, for the competition, like for the Campeones Cup, I don't really care about it, but I was honestly stoked for this matchup because you got the best team in Mexico taking on the best team in MLS, and it lived up to the hype.
It absolutely did. But unfortunately, referees had to do their best to make it about them. And it kind of took away from that game. For me, anyway.
A lot of controversy.
So much.
A lot of controversy surrounding that penalty.
He was off his line, bro. There's no way around it.
He was. He absolutely was off his line. But
and it wasn't his toes.
The gray area of that rule is if the shot basically isn't on target, it doesn't matter if he's off his line. Which is one of those rules that like you didn't even know existed until it happens. Right. And it sucks that it happens in a final.
Sure. But that's usually when those things rear their ugly heads, right?
It makes no sense.
Zero.
A lot of people online clamoring about whether it should have been retaken.
I mean, if it's a miss, no, right? And I get that rule at that point.
Right.
Because the goalkeeper coming off his line on a miss has no effect on the penalty, right? It'd be like making him retake it if he made it anyway. It's silly. But it's just funny that, rules seem to change or get brought up at the most inopportune times.
Definitely a lot of controversy surrounding it because it is a final. It is a championship game. Heartbreaking for Columbus. I thought Columbus were probably the better team. Probably should have won, but in the end, it's Club America and Liga MX gets the better of MLS once again.
Yeah, it sucks because, there's a lot of we should have ones too, but we can't live on should haves, right? So it's just one of those crappy things you have to swallow and move on from.
Transitioning over to the Canadian Championship, Vancouver three-peat, Damir Kreilach leaving Real Salt Lake and wins a trophy in his first year with Vancouver.
I mean, he won a or not an MLS Cup. Wow. He won a Rocky Mountain Cup. So same difference to me.
Really?
No, I mean, no, right? Obviously, it's a little different, but at the same time, how much weight does that cup really carry? I'm pumped for him.
I think it carries the weight of CONCACAF Champions Cup soccer.
No.
It does.
You're playing domestically.
No, I mean, like, it gets you a ticket to.
Oh, yeah. That's great. I'm just saying, like, bragging rights wise, though, like, yeah, it's dope. And you can brag to your other Canadian teams, right? But
yeah,
here in the States, it's like, cool, you know?
I think the only good thing about the Canadian Championship, of course, is getting that ticket to the Champions Cup. But, I mean, hey, congratulations, Vancouver. That honestly probably in the long run will help Real Salt Lake probably maybe make a Champions Cup them, you know?
Maybe. We'll see.
Depending on how things shake up on the table, if Real Salt Lake can, stay above Vancouver, depending on how things shake out, it very well could give Real Salt Lake a ticket to the CONCACAF Champions Cup tournament, but we'll see how things shake up. We'll talk about that down that road when we get there. Last but not least, the U.S. Open Cup, LAFC taking on Sporting Kansas City. Sporting Kansas City season is over.
Thank God.
They have no hope of making it to the playoffs. Their season is done and over, but somehow they made it to the Open Cup final.
You know, Sporting Kansas City is one of those teams that's always taken the Open Cup very seriously, right? They do what RSL says they're going to do, you know?
Yeah, at some point, the coaches and the players have to realize that you're probably not going to do much in the league. You're already off to a bad start off in the year.
All you're playing for.
Throw all your cards in on the Open Cup, and I think that's what Sporting Kansas did.
But even in our past years where we, haven't had the greatest starts, we still don't take the Open Cup that seriously. So if there's one thing RSL could learn from SKC, not many, but it's follow their blueprint in the Open Cup.
And for a second there, it looked like Sporting Kansas City were probably gonna shock Major League Soccer.
Listen, it wouldn't surprise me because SKC wins Open Cups, right?
Yeah,
that's their deal. And LAFC is in a rut, which is nice. But I'm glad they didn't let SKC lift a stupid trophy that they don't deserve.
Good on Sporting Kansas. Sporting Kansas City. Got to give them a credit for coming back, tying things up, holding on for as long as they did. But then in the game ended up going to extra time. And then in overtime, Omar Campos scores. Kai Kamara, 49 years old, still scoring goals.
I can't wait till he's out of the league. Is that weird?
No.
You get fatigue of certain players, right? And this is all sports, right? You got Tom Brady fatigue. And I know they're not on the same level, but at a certain point, it's like, my God, you're still playing? Would you just go away and give someone else an opportunity?
Hey, he's still scoring goals.
Yeah, good on him. I'm not mad at him, but I won't even notice when he's not in the league. Right. But then I get annoyed when I see that he's playing because I'm like, good Lord, dude, go away.
We had the conversation of, Kai Kamara is still playing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Good on him, though. Got another goal. He got basically the final insurance goal for LAFC to go on, win the Open Cup. Congratulations, LAFC, Club America, and Vancouver Whitecaps for winning your championships yesterday.
If I'm Kai Kamara, that's a perfect goal to retire on.
Good way to go out, yeah.
Yeah.
Good way to go out.
Retire, dude. Speaking of people that need to retire, Diego Chara, bro.
Yes.
What a player. 38 years old.
To be in the position that he's in, where you're basically covering the most ground out of anybody.
At 38 years old.
I got to give him props.
No, I love him. Like, he's a guy I wish was an RSL guy, right?
Yeah.
But, like, I wish he played in a different conference because, we can get into Portland now, but homeboy changed that game.
He did.
He lifted Portland out of the Portlanding that was going on against RSL.
Yes, absolutely. Diego Chara came on, and he's just that type of guy. He's going to come in, and he's going to make a difference.
But I do agree with people calling him a young Diego Chara. I see it.
I see it too. A lot of similar characteristics. I think the only place where I would nick Emeka and Nelly right now is probably the physicality.
He's got the bite in him. He
Yes.
just needs a little more bite, right? More tougher tackles, right? He definitely holds back.
That's something that will surely come for Emeka in the future.
Yeah.
But let's get into this Portland game. Let's start with the starting 11. A lot of similarities from that FC Dallas game. You got Gavin Beavers in goal, Philip Quinton at right back again, Justin Glad, Brian Vera, Alex Katranis back from suspension, Emeka Anelli, Noel Caliscan getting a start, Dominic Markzuk, Matt Crooks, Diego Luna, Anderson Julio. Starting over Chicho in this one. Just initially, Josh, your thoughts on that starting 11?
What is going on? Right? Like, I didn't fully expect Philip Quinton to start, although I will give him absolute props. I think he had a pretty good game. And I think the result may be different had he stayed in. That hurt saying, like that physically hurt. I think my body just shivered. Noel Caliscan was a bit surprising, but I get it, right? Ojeda did go quite a ways or quite a few minutes against FC Dallas. They have had rest, but, kind of his revenge game for, Portland cutting him. He was fine. Didn't really do much for me, but he wasn't a detriment really. But yeah, the lineup wasn't ideal, but it did very well in the first half.
They looked really good in the first half.
Looked incredible.
Even though Caliscan probably, like you said, didn't really do much to pop out, he did a good enough job to contain this attack, which we talked about last week.
Yep.
Is a really good attack. They're the second highest scoring attack behind Inter Miami in Major League Soccer, but they didn't seem that way. And I want to give credit to Real Salt Lake because they did a really good job. But I also want to know how much Jonathan Rodriguez not starting for Portland kind of factors into that.
I mean, we saw the difference when him and Chara came on.
Yes, exactly. And we'll get into that, but really good start for Real Salt Lake in this first half. Obviously, you get the goals from Dominic Markzuk, who we talked about last week. He impressed, continues to impress against Portland. And then good to see Diego Luna back on the score sheet.
Absolutely. Much needed for Diego Luna and super pumped for Markzuk, right? You're hesitant to talk about how good they're going to be, especially like the first couple games. But the last two matches, dude, he's showing something that he may be better than Gomez in mid next season. He's good.
Let's compare the two real quick as far as the career goes. When Andres Gomez came in, it took him probably a year to really get comfortable.
Yep. Whereas Markzuk is already looking comfortable.
Yes.
After what, 5 matches? Yes.
Yep.
So, difference.
He has come in and has really made a difference on that right wing. And no disrespect to Lachlan because I thought he's also had some really good performances, but that right wing looks a lot different with Dominic Markzuk in compared to a Lachlan Brook. I think Dominic just gives you a lot more pace, gives you a lot more stretching. And we talked about it, Josh. That's kind of what Real Salt Lake has missed since Gomez has left.
100%. And Markzuk's proving that he can bring that pace and that ability to spread the field, right? So I'm also high on Brook. They're just slightly different players.
They both bring something a little bit different to the table. Kind of going back now to the starting 11, we talk about Matt Crooks, who I thought again looked really impressive.
Yeah, dude, he's just got that bite, right? He's got the hustle, like we talked about, the dog in him. Yeah, great to see him in there doing some work. Just a lot of dirty work from him, like unsung or unrecognized work by some, right? Because it's not tangible, right? It's not goals, assists, but it's the intangibles, the being in the right position, breaking up plays, pressing, all that fun stuff.
A little disappointed not to see the Diego Luna dance, the celebration, because of the long VAR decision on that goal. But again, just happy he's back on the score sheet. could be massive for his confidence heading down this stretch as we playoffs are right around the corner.
It was a well-timed goal to get him rolling again.
Hope it can continue, especially in this week, but we'll get into Austin here in just a minute. Josh, quick question. Is there any concern, is there any alarms, red flags, whatever you want to call it, at Philip Quinton starting again at right back over a Bodie and over a Brody?
Over Brody, no. Bodie, kind of. I don't know what's going on there. Again, Javane Brown, I still really like him, but a little pissed off at the moment.
We do have to mention Brown also coming off an injury. So that
Sure.
Brown makes a little bit more sense. But
It does.
Specifically with Bodie Hidalgo, I don't know, man. That's a little concerning.
Yeah, like just gets a new contract and then stops getting playing time. I'm very curious as to why.
We see Philip Quinton get the start at right back again. We talked about it last week towards the end of the show, Josh. Anderson Julio absolutely deserves some starts, and he got one over Chicho Arango in this one.
Yeah, I do think, though, against Austin, Chicho needs to start.
I agree. A lot of good things from Julio. However, he is a player you really have to manage his minutes.
Yeah, right. He's going to get hurt. He's going to do a hamstring if you let him go too long.
You really need to watch out for Julio's minutes. So I would not be, either or. Honestly, starting against Austin gives me confidence. But I would like to see Julio's minutes continue to be managed, especially as we head closer and closer to the playoffs.
Right, but also you have Chicho Arango, right? Your most valuable player, your captain. You can't just be benching him.
Right.
Julio got his reward in another start. Didn't score a goal. I mean, he did, but it didn't count. But it's now reset, right? Time to bring in the man again and let the man hopefully get rolling. We need Chicho to get rolling. Yes.
He absolutely needs to. 2-0 heading into the half. You're up against Portland. How are you feeling at this point, Josh?
I feel good. I'm like, all right, this is going well. You know, we still have the big guns on the bench so we can bring in. Always that doubt in my mind, though, and that doubt came to fruition.
You know what they say?
2-0 is the most dangerous lead in soccer.
The most dangerous lead in soccer. And I think Rouse Lake fell victim to that this weekend. 54th minute, Mason Toy, Jonathan Rodriguez, Christian Paredes all check in for the Portland Timbers, and things start to change. Jonathan Rodriguez, we talked about it last week, how dangerous this man is. 14 goals on the year, along with the entire Portland attack. He comes in, and things begin to shift for Portland. Chicho Arango, Javon Brown also check in at the 62nd minute. Literally within seconds of Arango and Javon Brown checking in, Anthony off the quick corner. Portland takes it fast, and the ball ends up in the back of the net. Anthony makes it 2-1. And I think similar to that FC Dallas goal, right, where Ferreira just gets it off quick, you concede another goal in a similar fashion where the defense isn't set, corner taken quickly, and now it's 2-1. And things begin to turn for Real Salt Lake.
Right. But I mean, clearly we cannot defend a set piece.
That's an issue that needs to be addressed.
It's horrendous right now, right? Set piece against FC Dallas, 2 in this Portland match. I'll give them credit for 1 because that was just an absolute screamer, but you can't be giving up 3 set piece goals in 2 matches, right? That's inexcusable, especially the Dallas one was awful because that was just a clear lapse in everything. And then this Portland one was just a ball watching moment, right? Let's hope someone clears it. I'm not going to go try to, but let's just let it bounce around in here for a minute and let them score, right? We take our feet off the gas. This is what happened against Portland, I feel. I feel like we took our foot off the gas, right? We got comfortable, and then we got punished, and then we're scrambling.
I'm also a big believer in not subbing right before a set piece.
No, you got to let them finish. Unless someone's hurt, right? The guys are already on the field. When you have new guys running in and they're trying to find their mark and it's just confusing, let the set piece play out, then make the substitution.
Yes, it tends to happen. And I think in this case, I don't want to make that excuse, but I mean, you did sub right before the corner. As your players are running on, the corner is taken quickly. So you already have 2 guys who aren't even set in a spin in the box yet to defend. And I don't know, man. Just don't
Yeah,
sub right before a set piece.
while that's a problem, that ball still went past every other player in that box.
Right. 65th minute, Brian Ojeda comes in with Diego Gonçalves. And from here, I hate to say it, there was something lacking in the press.
It was gone. It's gone.
And I don't. Is it Diogo? Do we lose the press when Diogo's on the pitch? So what do we have to do to change that?
Like for like, right? Crooks is in, the press is there. Diogo comes in, the press is gone. It doesn't make any sense.
It's unfortunate.
It is.
Especially because, I mean, Diogo gets his goal, finally gets that first goal.
And what we all thought was a match winner.
We're not there yet, Josh.
I'm just irritated, okay?
Diogo comes in, we lose the press, and that's just something that needs to change because we were talking about it last week. Diogo, I still believe that Diogo has all the tools to be one of the best 10s in this league. He's shown it at Copenhagen. He's shown it at Benfica. I've still yet to see it here at Real Lake.
Yeah, I don't understand where the disconnect is, right? It's not like we're not coaching to press. I don't know, but it's irritating.
76th minute, a foul is committed. Evander scores an absolute beautiful goal. Off the free kick. It's 2-2. And all of a sudden, you're a little worried.
I'm extremely worried. The swears, right, coming out of my mouth. Insane. Not pleased.
It's hard to be mad at that goal because, I mean, it's a golazo.
It's a beautiful goal. There's nothing anyone could have done about that, right? Except not commit the foul.
Any way you put it, Evander scores an absolute beautiful goal. 76th minute. There was some discord and some arguments on social media online where people were saying that Beavers probably should have done better.
Maybe in his initial positioning, but at the same time, when the ball comes off the top post and goes down, I mean, that's a tough one, right? You can say the goalkeeper can do better, but
yeah,
at the end of the day, a shot that well placed, like it's a coin flip, right? Who knows?
I think that ball is just phenomenally placed by Evander.
Yeah,
you put it in a spot where even your 6'4" or however tall Beavers' goalkeeper can't get it, just because you sneak it right under that top post.
Right, and maybe if Beavers took 2 steps back, before the ball was shot, I don't remember his initial positioning, but even though you have a wall, you can't leave the entire wall side of that open. So it's a tough one.
Andrew Brody checks in the 82nd minute. He on one hand does come off the bench and continues to press, which leads directly to him getting a header on a ball. He brings it down, plays it through to Chicho. Chicho does a good job too. I can't remember if he dummies it or not, but Chicho just kind of lets it roll through. Diego Gonçalves is on the end of it, and Diego Gonçalves in the 89th minute erupts America First Field. Like Josh mentioned earlier, that should be the winner. That's it right there. You got it.
We should all be rejoicing, and at that point, right, the game's almost over. Our mindset should immediately shift to we're defending everything. Nothing's getting through. And I don't even want to talk about how pumped I was on this goal. I was super pumped, right? But almost immediately, 30 seconds later?
Just about.
What happens, Alex?
First, before we get into Jonathan Rodriguez, 9 minutes of added time.
Yeah. You can thank Brian Vera and Mason Toy. Okay, so this is the other irritating bit. Mason Toy was injured. Portland was essentially playing down a man. He's on the field, but he was in pain. He was not doing much.
Yep.
That makes this even more irritating.
But a lot of people are saying that obviously Mason Toy being down for as long as he is obviously a big part as to why those 9 minutes are added on.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people online upset that 9 minutes were even added on to begin with.
You can't eliminate stoppage because it's the team that's losing.
Yeah.
Is it frustrating? Yes. Right. But you can't just go, well, you guys are losing, so you don't get those stoppage minutes. You know what I mean? Because what if we were on the other side of it right?
I'd want 10, 11 if we
You
were
want all
losing.
the minutes, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, that you got to shift away from that mindset. Throw that away.
So 89th minute, Diego Gonçalves scores, makes it 3-2. At this point, I'm thinking it's winner. I'm jumping up and down inside the KSL Sports Studios. I'm freaking out. But then that's quickly taken away because our defense just kind of fell asleep.
Kind of. They were tucked in, bro.
I think probably a majority of the team thought, this is Real Salt Lake. That's our late winner. It's been a minute since we've had one of those. And Jonathan Rodriguez heads one at the near post, puts it into the back of the net. And Josh, you were at the stadium. What's the reaction at that point?
Absolutely deflating. You could feel the stadium just all collectively sigh, right? Just the biggest letdown you can feel. A draw. This is absolutely a draw that feels like we should have been deducted 6 points, right? It's inexcusable. And you saw it coming, right? As soon as, that ball was crossed in there, you saw Javane Brown kind of there. And then the second you see him realize there's someone there, it's too late. And it's inexcusable, right? Where's the communication? You're in stoppage time. Why are you not head on a swivel? Everything's coming into the box. And I don't want to blame this all on Javane Brown, but it's on Javane Brown, essentially, right? So, I just not good. Not good. It's again, I still like him as a player, but it's going to be hard for him to get back in the good graces of the fans for a little bit. Because that's a big 2 points we lost on a mental lapse.
At home, nonetheless.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Not great defending for Real Salt Lake. But I do also want to put a little bit, we have to put a little bit on Gavin Beaver's shoulders as well, because as a goalkeeper, you shouldn't be getting beat at your near post like that.
No, and that ball, in my opinion, was one he could have come out and gotten.
I agree.
So, 19-year-old keeper for you,
And it's bound to happen. It's bound to happen. He's 19.
At the same time, I'm starting to question his hands.
I'm starting to question if Real Salt Lake has a goalkeeper dilemma.
We might need to cash in on Beavers and restart, because again, I'm a big Beavers fan, but that's all I gotta say. And I want to give him time, right? Because I think he could be an incredible goalkeeper, but the amount of balls he dropped this game.
At the same time, how much leeway do you give a 19-year-old, right? How much?
Right.
How much do we accredit that as a young keeper making mistakes? The mistakes that you should be making as a 19-year-old and allowing yourself to grow and learn from those, compared to, you shouldn't get beat at your near post, and that kind of cost us 2 points at home.
Kind of totally did, right?
Yeah.
And to be quite honest with you, as soon as the whistle blew, even in a loss, the players will typically stay out. Vera was immediately in the locker room, visibly heated. Pablo was right there after him. So was Chicho, right? Chicho's one of the guys that typically stays out, and he was pissed. So I'm hoping this is like a come to soccer Jesus moment for these guys. They can figure it out, but it needs to be figured out because there's not a lot of time left, and you are not going to make a deep run in the playoffs if you're defending like this.
Absolutely.
It's not going to happen.
A lot of work needs to be done defensively for Real Salt Lake.
Right. And the crazy part is we were squeaky clean defensively for the first half of the year.
Yeah.
And maybe that was a lot on McMath. I don't know. Maybe it's time McMath gets a start against Austin.
Again, back to, does Real Salt Lake have a goalkeeping dilemma?
We do.
In hindsight, looking back, McMath had a decent start to the season, right? He made a couple of really big saves. We were talking about how much we were trusting McMath. A couple of mistakes happen, and I don't know. I feel like McMath stayed in a little bit longer than he should have before we decided to start allowing Beavers to kind of get more minutes. Now, apply that to Gavin Beavers, where maybe it's time to pull him and allow McMath to get back in there and see if that allows you to have better goalkeeping. Because right now, I don't know, man. I'm stuck between allowing this youngster continue to start or going back to your veteran and figuring things out that way.
Yeah, I mean, for me, maybe just get back to the rotation for a bit, right? Let Beavers learn still get some minutes, but be like, listen, my guy, when you're 21 and if you're still making these mistakes, you're not going to be starting anywhere. Period.
Yeah.
So, goalkeeper's a tough position because it's hard to play out of bad form until you get that big save and kind of get your mojo back. Sometimes you have to let someone else step in.
It'll be interesting to see what Pablo decides to do in Austin. Do you continue to stick with your youngster? Do you go back to your veteran? We'll see, man. I would not. This is one of those games where I wouldn't mind McMath coming back into the rotation.
No, it's a perfect time, right?
Yeah,
it's away from home against a team that you should beat, and right now I feel like the back line doesn't trust Beavers.
That's a sentiment that I've seen a lot online.
Yeah, and when your back line doesn't trust you and you don't have command of them, right? Like that is one thing Zach McMath has is he has the communication, he has the command, and when your back line is struggling, you need that, right? That's how you right the ship. And if Beavers isn't able to do that, right, and get the guys in the right position and get their trust back, you're just going to kind of spin the same wheels.
As far as, I mean, we'll continue this conversation. As far as looking ahead to the Austin, do you continue to roll out that same back line with Philip Quinton at right back, Justin Glad, Vera Catranis, or do you look at kind of changing things up a little bit? Because I think defensively, there's a lot of questions on that back line as well.
I mean, defensively, that back line did well in the first half. So sure. Why not?
So I guess the question now is what happened between the first half and the second half, where in that second half they look rough, and we're going to go back to that conversation of the press.
It's defending in the attacking half of the field.
Yep.
Protecting your defense from having to defend.
Yep.
You defend as a unit, not as a defense.
I think kind of right now I have an idea of what the four up top that might get us the best results right now. And obviously I think it involves Matt Crooks at the centerpiece.
Yeah, or like we talked about last week, Chicho at the attacking midfielder position. He drops deep anyway. Let him feed Julio.
I wouldn't mind seeing that one either.
Yeah, because Chicho will press. Chicho has no problem pressing. Chicho loves to press, right? So, I don't know.
I think Dominic Marksuk, for me, has locked down the starting right back position, which is kind of crazy to think about considering he's 2 games in.
Yep.
Diego Luna, I think, is perfectly fine on the left, and then that middle is the where the questions for me come. Is it Matt Crooks? Is it Diogo? Where does Chicho, like you mentioned, Josh, does Chicho come back? We'll see how that kind of goes against Austin and what Pablo decides to go after, because Pablo threw some comments in that post-game presser where
he was not pleased.
He threw some shade at those substitutions.
Yeah, he was not pleased with them. So
I can't remember who it was. Might have been DJ. Asked him a question straight up, and he was like, "Hindsight's a good thing," and in hindsight, those were probably not the best substitutions. Is kind of along those lines of what
probably
he said.
Not. Probably not. There was no reason. Quinton didn't look gassed, right? And I feel weird defending him, but I'll give him his flowers, right? He held his own, and I don't think that third goal happens if he's on the field.
I agree. Which, again, crazy to think about considering the conversations we've had about Philip Quinton on the RSL
I'm
Show.
Still absolutely terrified when he plays, but he's had 2 pretty good games, right?
Right.
So, I don't know. I'm much more comfortable with him on the wing than in the middle of the defense.
Josh, anything else you want to add in here about Portland before we close the chapter and move on to Austin FC?
No, just that huge missed opportunity for RSL. Very disappointing. I know we locked down a playoff spot, but that gives me no comfort, right? We know what this team is capable of, and I wish this team could remember what they're capable of.
Yeah, I think the last thing for me about Portland is, yes, it's great to clinch a playoff spot. However, losing 2 points at home the way that you did, the fashion that you did, it stings. And it kind of takes away from clinching. I was very excited about clinching at halftime.
Yeah, you jinxed it.
Because at that point it was clinched. It was over. There was nothing.
But
they were clinched. However, the result was not clinched.
Right.
And at halftime, I'm excited about clinching, but I think it really took away clinching playoffs after you lose a point. You lose 2 points at home in that fashion. Taking a look around the league, New York City FC with a 1-1 draw over Inter Miami. Charlotte with a 4-0 win over New England. Montreal beating Chicago 2-0. Columbus with a 4-3 win over Orlando. New York Red Bulls with a 2-2 draw over Atlanta United. Houston, thank you, Houston. The one time you can actually say thank you to Houston, because with their 1-0 win, that allowed Real Salt Lake to clinch the playoff spot over Austin FC. FC Dallas, the shock, the surprise for me this week.
Absolute shocker.
3-1 over LAFC.
Yeah.
LAFC also need to figure it out.
Well, when all you do is bring in aging stars and give them 6 months total to play, it works or it doesn't. It's boom or bust. And listen, they still have time, right? They can go on an absolute tear, but right. It's not looking great for them, as they just won the U.S. Open Cup. But whatever.
Yeah, I mean, Sporting Kansas City.
Right.
Nashville 2-2 draw with Cincinnati. Minnesota getting a 2-0 win over Sporting KC. Colorado with a 2-0 win over Toronto. Real Salt Lake, of course, with a 3-3 draw against Portland. LA Galaxy winning 4-2 against the Vancouver Whitecaps. And St. Louis with a 2-1 win over San Jose. Philadelphia beating DC United 4-0. That means, Josh, in the Western Conference, in first place, LA Galaxy, 58 points. In second, Real Salt Lake with 51. In third, Colorado Rapids with 50. In fourth, LAFC with 49. In fifth, Houston with 48. In sixth, Seattle Sounders with 47. In seven, Vancouver with 46. In eight, Portland with 44. And in ninth, Minnesota with 42. Anything standing out to you on that table, Josh?
It's wild the turnaround the LA Galaxy have had.
Yeah.
That's the wildest.
They still have a game in hand over basically everybody in the Western Conference, but still 58 and Real Salt Lake in second with 51. It's a pretty good lead heading into this final stretch of games.
We're fighting to hold on to second.
Yeah.
And that's just where we have to keep our mindset now.
Right. LA Galaxy, I mean, we're the laughingstock of the league for quite a while.
Yeah, well, based on their history and their potential and all these things, they bring in Zlatan and all these other guys and just fail, right? And man, they've turned that around.
I mean, Chris Klein leaves LA Galaxy. They bring in new CSO. They bring in kind of new front office, similar to what we've seen Real Salt Lake do this past offseason. And I mean, hey, you have both of those teams in first and second.
Yeah, crazy what some change will do sometimes, huh?
Looking at you, San Jose.
Man, am I feeling get like some motivation to get a new job? Will that work out for me as well?
I mean, it works in the soccer world.
And maybe it'll work in Josh world. I think there's a few teams out there that could use a little reshuffle.
San Jose
being one of them.
Did you see the comments, Jeremy Bobusi?
Some of them, yeah. Not great.
It's bad, dude. It is so bad over there in San Jose. Basically, for those of you who don't know, Jeremy Bobusi, in his post-game press conference, media was kind of asking him, looking forward to next year, like, what's the plan this offseason to kind of rebuild and start focusing for next season to avoid being the wooden spoon leaders next year. And Bobusi basically said, I can't talk about next year because honestly, I don't know who's going to be here next year, and I'm probably not going to be here next year.
He's not wrong. That team needs to be completely just dumped and rebuilt. It's a mess. And they beat us.
And they beat us. Big
Yep.
names coming out of San Jose, though, for their vacancy. I mean, you got Bruce Arena in the mix, Bert Halter in the mix, Giovanni Savarese in the mix, Robin Frazier, former Colorado Rapids head coach, in the mix. I don't think it's a coaching situation in San Jose. I think it goes a lot higher than that.
It does for sure, but also like those are big names, right, in the coaching world, but they're also old names. And if I was an RSL fan and those were the names being tossed around to replace someone, they don't give me confidence, right? They don't do anything for me. They've been there, done that. They've been removed from their positions, right? The prime of their careers is essentially over. Bruce Arena, really? You know?
I think the only one who does it for me out of those four is Savarese.
Sure,
that would probably be the only one that I would be kind of happy for San Jose about getting. I don't necessarily know if I would be happy with the other guys.
No. I think Berhalter is going to Chicago anyway.
Maybe. But yeah, they have a vacancy too.
Yep.
Patrick Vieira to Atlanta United.
Okay.
That might happen. A lot of coaching changes and coaching news coming up here as we reach the end of the season. So there's going to be some open seats filling up here soon. Patrick Vieira might make his return back to Major League Soccer. We'll see. But let's focus now on Austin FC, Josh. Sebastian Driussi absolutely hates it there.
Yeah. He really does. When the players start embracing the hate, not good.
It's not a good situation there in Austin. Your best player, and the fans hate him now.
Yeah.
The Discord, it's crazy kind of seeing where the love for Driussi was a year and a half ago, when Austin were one of the heavy hitters in the West and were competing. Right. And now kind of the turnaround to a lot of the fan base is really upset with Sebastian Driussi.
It would be like us being completely frustrated with Chicho mid-season next year or end of the season next year and trying to drive him out.
Yeah.
I can't fathom it.
That's what's happening with Driussi at the moment. This is an Austin team, dude, who is just so inconsistent. I really don't know what to expect from Austin other than their defense struggles. They haven't scored much this year. You kind of go back to the Leagues Cup, and it seemed like they were kind of picking it up. They had some good results, even made it out of the group, played LAFC, lost there, came back after the Leagues Cup break, beat Nashville. But then you have two losses, one at home to Vancouver, one on the road to Toronto. A massive 1-1 draw against LAFC, but then you lose 1-0 at home against Houston. Just kind of results all over the place with this Austin team. Just very inconsistent with Austin FC.
Yeah, inconsistent's the right word. They're just all over the place. And, I don't hate Austin FC, so I kind of feel bad for their fans. But I'm thankful that this isn't a normal Austin FC we're going to play this weekend.
In the past, Rouse Lake has already played Austin once this year. You had the Chicho hat trick, catching Brad Stuver off his line, scoring from midfield in that 5-1 win here at America First Field. The last time Rouse Lake went to Austin, they won thanks to Rubio Rubin getting 2 goals.
Wow, that's a name I haven't heard in a while.
And the game before that, Austin FC came into America First Field and was able to win 2-1 against Rouse Lake. So, even the results against Austin, kind of inconsistent. 4 wins for Rouse Lake, 1 draw, 3 wins for Austin. Major opportunity for Rouse Lake here in their second to last road game to just go on the road, get some points, come back with 3 in your pocket.
Yeah, the best result really could be a multi-goal win by RSL with Chicho on the score sheet.
Yes, I agree with you there.
I hope for. I don't care if it's a 1-0 win. I'll come home with a 1-0 win with Chicho on the score sheet. That'll make me feel a lot better about things moving forward.
Austin still technically not mathematically eliminated from playoffs. They have the smallest of fighting chances to still make it. However, a loss against Real Salt Lake this weekend, I think, would pretty much pack it up for Austin.
Yeah, and normally you could be like, "Oh man, we're playing a team that's fighting for their life. This is a dangerous game for us." But with all the turmoil within Austin FC, it's a big yikes for them. It's a big ask. So
I like Real Salt Lake's chances in this one, man. I really do. Even on the road, even going out to Austin, I like everything on paper. I like Real Salt Lake's chances.
right, and then you kind of collect your thoughts and go, are we going to pull it out, or are we going to beat ourselves up again? Right.
Yes. I mean, because in turn you can have since probably the Leagues Cups, you can kind of have that inconsistent conversation about Real Salt Lake.
Oh, extremely inconsistent.
Right.
It's horrendously inconsistent, right? We're just lucky we gathered up a lot of points early on this year.
So I say this is a perfect game to right the ship. Get out there on the road, go get a win. Chicho, get on the score sheet, and you have an opportunity to right the ship. Again, like we mentioned last week, I just want to echo basically what we talked about at the end of the last show, is this is an opportune time to get your form right, get your play right, figure things out before you head to the playoffs.
100%. We just need to start capitalizing on these opportunities and getting back to the RSL we all know and love.
Josh, anything else you want to add before we wrap this one up, man?
No, let's just go Real Salt Lakers.
All right, that's going to do it for us here on the RSL Show on KSL Sports. Make sure to tune in to the game on Apple TV, 6:30 kickoff against Austin FC on the road. It should be a great match, and again, we just hope Real Salt Lake can right the ship. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, listening, subscribing, doing what you have to do to follow the RSL Show for the best RSL content.